Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Hope you having a pretty decent day, and hope everything going well with the weather wherever you're at. Well, decided to make a video, and this is a topic about these people, certain type of demographic over in Africa, and they be making some pot shots at some Americans, but particularly Black Americans. And I'm going to show a couple videos back and forth in this video and a recent video. So hope um,
I want to share this video with you because it shows a woman who bought into the idea of an African utopia, and she moved to Ghana just to find out that it was not what she expected. And so I want to share this video because it shows a very important lesson about expectations and reality, and also why I don't see myself the same as other people simply because we share a somewhat similar skin color or even have ancestors who come from the same place. So here we go.
There are Americans coming over here being nasty, doing nasty things, and being bad to the locals. Now let me flip the script, okay? Let's talk about the fact that we get abused over here too. The thing about Ghana is stop crying victim. Stop crying victim, because y'all cheat us out of a lot of stuff. Y'all invited us to come home, which by the thousands we did. We came running to Ghana. People sold their homes, moved out of their apartments, sold everything. Some people packed up containers and moved over here just to get over here and realize this is not our home. Y'all call us foreigners. Ghanaians call us that. We didn't make that word up. We didn't start calling ourselves that. We don't know that that's what y'all call the white people and the Chinese because we're not around them. But we know that that's what y'all call us. I ain't never heard the word before, Toby, till I came to Ghana. Okay. Y'all invite us home. Let's talk about what y'all do to us. Starting from the before we get to the airport, we gotta have a visa that we pay for to even enter our home. We pay all this money for passports and visas to get here. We get to the airport, and as soon as you see a blue passport, everybody's coming for us. Can you give me something small at the COVID place? You get to immigration. Can you give me something small? You get to baggage. Can you give me something small? A person grabbed a damn cart and put my bag on it and got mad because I gave him $5 because I only had hundreds, because you come over here with hundreds to get the best, cash in rate. How about he looked at that and said, I don't want that. I said, what you mean you don't want it? I said, I want to know, what did you expect me to give you? He said, $10. I said, so you want me to give you over 100 CDs for picking up a bag, putting it in a cart? He don't know this is like my 5th time coming through the airport. I have never seen nowhere in any country or state where people have openly, it says $60 for foreigners, $30 for locals, okay? You go to Cocoon Park, and I don't remember the price. Let's say $200 for foreigners, because that's what y'all call us, $40 for locals. You go to the castle, it's $60 for foreigners, $10 for locals. I ain't never seen that nowhere. I ain't never went nowhere in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada where it said you pay, if you're a local, if you're from here, you pay $3 for a Coca-Cola, but if you're a foreigner, you pay $8 for a Coca-Cola. I ain't never seen that nowhere except Ghana. Nobody in the airport has ever asked me for no money for nothing. I have only seen that in Ghana. But let's talk about the fact that y'all welcomed us home and how this process looks to me. According to y'all, the ones of us that were stolen, so let's talk about the process of coming home. We got stolen from our mother, our birth mother and father. 20 years later, we're probably 26 years old now. Our mother finds us and she said, baby, y'all come home. I miss you. Come back home. Get out them streets where they don't love you at and come home. So we drive, take a taxi, however we get to our mother's address. We get there. But before she let us come to the door, she says, oh, welcome home. But before you come in, can you pay me $300 to enter the door? That's the visa to come home. So, okay, we happy to be home. So we paid $300 to our mother to step foot in her house because we're excited to be home to the motherland, okay? We get in there, and now it's dinner time. And she has plates on the table for the kids that grew up in the house, and she has a plate on the table for me and my sister who was stolen years ago. And she says, oh, my daughters, because you didn't grow up here, my children get to eat free that grew up here, but because you were stolen and you're just coming back, I have to charge you $20 for a plate. So me and my sister, we're so happy to be home, we're confused, we pay her $20 for a plate. Okay? That's the cocoon shit. That's y'all giving us different prices for shit. Okay? Now we're at our mother's house and we're enjoying being there. We see something's a little weird, but we enjoy being back home with our mother. We decide we want to stay. And she goes, oh, you want to stay a little longer? You're going to have to pay me $1,000 every year to stay here. That's the residency. Now we're paying her for residency, even though she invited us home after we were stolen from her. Okay? Now we pay the residency, and then we decide, you know what, we want to get on the birth certificate. We kind of like it here. It's a little weird, but we comfortable enough to stay here. And she tells us, oh, in order for you to stay here, I have to put my name on your birth certificate. That's going to be $3,000 each, please. And then I will put your name on the birth certificate, and you will become a family member. That's the citizenship. That's the citizenship. So how are we home if we got to pay y'all? Why are the visas free if this is home? Why don't you make this visa free for us? If this is home, why do we have to pay to be a resident? If this is home, why isn't our citizenship automatically given to us?
That's because many of them don't see you as their people. They try to get people to move to Ghana, not back to Ghana. That's because the black American folks, they're not from there, right? They're from America. They're born and raised in America. But many of their ancestors, hundreds of years ago, they may have been from there, but people have to understand that there's a big difference between themselves as a person who's living in the flesh today and their ancestors who were people who were living hundreds of years ago. Because anyone who traces their ancestral lineage back far enough, they're going to end up finding ancestors that come from the continent of Africa, right? That's everybody out there, at least according to what science shows us today. But at some point, they moved on, right? After they left the continent, they developed different cultures, different languages, different customs, right? Different ways of thinking, right? And they became something else. And that something else would have been largely unrelatable to the same people who remained on the continent of Africa, right? And that's just the story of humanity as a whole. And it's no different for the people who call themselves black Americans. They became something completely different over time. And that's why, as she said in the video, that they call the black Americans foreigners, right? A foreigner is just someone who's an alien or is someone who's not from that area. And so the Ghanaians, they're in their right mind when they call the black Americans foreigners, because that's exactly what they are, right? What else do you want them to say, right? That's what they are. They're foreigners. They're not from that area. And so some of their ancestors, hundreds of years ago, may not have been foreigners, but the people living today are, right? And so understand the difference, because she didn't know that she would be looked at as a foreigner by those Ghanaian people, just like they look at the whites and just like they look at the Chinese people as foreigners, right? And so most of those Africans on the continent, they have not bought into the idea of the African utopia, right? Like some of the black Americans have, right? They've been sold that idea. So I understand why she would be shocked when she went over there and she had those experiences. And so there are also many other black Americans who have moved over to Africa and have had similar experiences that have shocked them, right? Now, is it the same for all black Americans who go over there to Ghana or who move to any of these other African countries? No, it's not. It depends on who you know and how well acquainted you are with the culture of those people. And so, for example, my wife's parents, they're very much into the idea of Africa. And they've been going over there for many years, and they've been many times. But over those years, they have mingled with the people, right? And they've learned the culture, which has made them many strong connections with some of the local people. And so it works for some people when they understand that the culture is the key, not skin color or ancestry. Because although I had many ancestors that were from the African continent, the person living right here in the flesh and talking to you on the camera, do not share the same culture as they do, right? I don't share the same culture. So when I visit countries like Nigeria and Ghana coming up within the next year or two, I expect to be looked at and treated like a foreigner, right? I'm expecting to get overcharged. I'm expected to get hustled in the same way that I expect that when I go to some of these other countries, right? What I'm not expecting is to walk off the plane and see people holding signs saying welcome home, right? Another thing that I'm not expecting is to walk around and be welcomed by everyone and all the local people, right? They don't know who I am. I don't look like them. I don't talk like them. I dress different, right? And I'm not from there, right? And just think about it from the context of America. The people who identify as black people, they can't even go to other black neighborhoods and just walk in and get accepted unless they know someone in that community, right? And they're culturally compatible with those people in that community, right? You're not going to just walk into any black neighborhood and just be like, I'm right here, and expect the people to just come in and accept you because you call yourself a black person, right? We all know that that's not how it works. That's why you don't see blacks who are considered nerdy hanging out with the typical ghetto inner city blacks, right? Those two do not culturally mesh with each other. So don't fall for these utopias. We have to do like humans have always done throughout history before the European colonists sold people on the idea of race, and that's get with people who have the same values, same culture, and same mindset. And that's regardless of the skin color, right? That shouldn't be taken into consideration. And so one of the cultural values that we have as Earpoys, people of the free world, is education. We value education. And so we push ourselves and we push our children to be knowledgeable and to be informed citizens wherever they find themselves throughout the entire world, right? But for us to do this, we can't be people with those who promote ideas that reading, learning hard topics, and critically thinking are for white people, right? That mindset is against our cultural values, and we can't have that. Now, people, they can have that mindset if that's what they want to do. They just have to stay over there with other people who have that same type of mindset too, right? And they can keep that as part of their culture, right? Because we're not buying into the idea of race and these utopian ideas because we know that those don't work, right? That's not the reality of it. And so hopefully you've got something out of this video, and we appreciate the one.
Since 2019, John Deere has invested more than $2 billion in our American factories.
Sometimes I think about how a lot of black Americans can low-key be colonizers.
You are wrong! All of you are wrong!
There has been a huge number of black Americans doing a lot of investments in African countries, especially in real estate. But the problem is, they're coming and they want to change everything.
Now everybody is seeing what I have seen for the last couple of years.
Sometimes I think about how a lot of black Americans can low-key be colonizers. You know how a lot of Americans like to be in the spotlight? They always want to be at the center of the story. A lot of black Americans are actually like that when it comes to African stories. They're not interested in Africa unless they're at the center of it. A good example is Woman King. There's also Black Panther, which had the backdrop of Africa, but they didn't even have a premiere event in at least 10 African countries. And no, don't tell me about the one or two African actors in these movies, because it's giving, I have a black friend. I've also seen a couple of black Americans traveling from America to African countries to have their hair done because it's cheap. It's giving cheap labor. Who else did that? There's also the passport bros who are like, oh my god, I should just go get a wife in Africa because they're easier to oppress and they don't have rights. Lately, there has been a huge number of black Americans doing a lot of investments in African countries, especially in real estate. But the problem is, they're coming and they want to change everything. They're like, yo, the architecture that you have in these African countries, not our vibe. We're just gonna bring that American aesthetic. You're just gentrifying a lot of African countries, but you don't care about that, right? As long as you get money in your pocket.
And this is why I tell a lot of black people you cannot consider everybody your friend or everybody as family.
even when she was talking, you heard her, right? And I'm believing that this is an African woman talking about Black Americans, but the actions or the mannerisms was that of, in a sense, a Black American woman, right? You saw how she was moving her neck, how it is that she was talking. She used the terminology it's given, like even with some of the slang that she was using. Again, that's not African based. That's coming directly from us. She stated how it is that Black people don't really care about Africa unless we are the center of attention. Black Panther was made by a white man. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, it should have been Stan Lee, or at least somebody else in Marvel that created Black Panther. So to try to say that we put ourselves at the center sounds a little bit crazy, because we didn't even make that character for ourselves. It was white people that made that character. It was white people that made money off of that, right? It's Marvel, that is not Black owned, that is making money directly off of that, right? And then she wanted to list, Woman King up there as well. Last time I checked, I could have sworn that somebody else also had, some helpings or some divings or some hands directly on that movie as well. But, maybe I could be wrong. But even if that is not the case and I am wrong, the main point that I'm trying to push through is the fact that Black people aren't trying to make themselves the center. The main thing that Black people have tried to do, at least over here, is to celebrate, give some love, acknowledgement, praise over to Africa, because we understand the psychological warfare. We understand the lies that we have been told when it deals with the 10 cents a day, 25 cents a day will help little Christina over in Zimbabwe get the mosquito net and the nice bag of rice that her village needs. We understand that we were lied to so many years and decades ago, and that Africa is a pretty rich, wealthy, beautiful continent, right? So within us gaining that knowledge, we try to, in a sense, give the respect, the praise, and the value that was lost because of how it is that America likes to give propaganda, and how it is that they try to devalue melanated people. So number 2, she wanted to list that there were Black women going over there to Africa to get their hair done authentically from somebody who was African, directly from the land. And you wanted to try to list that as some type of slave labor or whatever. I'm like, where you even get that? Makes no sense. Like, right. That's you sound 100% crazy. Like, the way that she is talking right now, it sounds envious. It sounds jealous.
Right.
Because again, if somebody can travel to another country to get their hair done, they obviously have some money. They saved up. I've never heard of other groups of people like, yeah, I'm about to fly to Australia to get, my hair done or what. Realistically, that's a flex. I'm just going to sit up there and state that. But other than that, if they're doing that, that's better for your economy. That's working out for those people there, because those women, usually for Black women, if their hair is done properly and it looks great, beautiful, they will give you tips. They will give extra money.
Right. So
that is beneficial for those women there. I'm not sure where you're getting the slave type of labor there. Maybe you're having, some type of memory of the history of your country and how it is that your own people that look just like you may have enslaved your own, or how your government has done that. And again, with the sarcasm and the mockery of the supposed, I guess that's supposed to be a Black American accent, you need to work on that. If you're at least going to try to make a mockery of somebody, try to be sarcastic, at least have a standard issue accent. You have a lot of Africans that are able to do that, who are actors, by the way, but they're also in the United Kingdom. But, like I said, it is what it is. Okay, so let me just get this straight, because she's not being specific enough, because I know that she's talking about Black Americans, because she already started off with Black women. So I'm just going to go off on a limb and say that she's talking about Black men when she's talking about passport bros, right? And she wanted to state that, we leave America to, we'll go over to Africa and get a wife that doesn't have any rights and we can easily oppress her. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Your own government oppresses you every single day. There's a variety of countries where they do procedures on young girls because they feel that if they don't, that they will hypersexualize themselves, that they'll start going directly into doing stuff that they don't need to be doing. Like, they literally have areas in Africa where they do these things. So how is it that you want to try to make it seem as though that black men are literally flying directly over to Africa to find an African woman? Wow. So how in droves, how many black men have you literally seen? Out of the whole continent, the billions of people that you got, how many of those are black American men looking over there for an African wife? And we all know.
Right.
We all know how it goes over in Africa. It's fine to dibble and dabble, but y'all ain't about to sit up here and marry anybody that's black American.
Right.
Because the cultures are different. I done heard it time and time again. I done heard it on multitude of videos. It don't matter where people are from.
Exactly.
They are not, on average, they are not about to sit up here and try to find a husband or a wife that is black American because the cultures are way too different. Better yet, let me just separate that real quick.
Right.
The only ones that will technically take on a black American significant other would technically be the African men. The African men will be the ones that will actually be like, okay, well, it doesn't matter what your culture is because my culture is going to be your culture, or however it basically works in that household or that relationship. But again, on average, that's not how that works.
Right.
The main passport bros, the ones who started off that initiative, are Europeans. And last time I checked, when I did stories, there's an abundance of those Europeans who are running amok all throughout Africa and having unprotected relations with fields of African women, but yet you don't want to speak on those men, though.
No.
You don't want to speak on those men that's doing that sex tourism with African women. You don't want to speak on those European men that are coming down to Africa because, as you said before, with black women about the hair, because the black women there are cheap. Right. And I'm not saying that they are. I'm just sitting up there listening to you how it is that the European males basically look and deem the African women there.
Oh yeah, they probably
it
worship
just is what it is. This is why when I did the story that I did, you had one that was from France, Germany, wherever, and he came down there and he was going through at least 6 to 8 different areas. He wrote about it on Reddit. And he was talking about the fields of women and how he had just so much fun and all of these women because he was European, because he has the skin, right? They automatically thought that he was wealthy. They thought that he was rich. They thought that he had some type of money. And he did. He was broke. He had something, but he wasn't rich like they thought he was. But because of just the theory and because of the skin, automatically African women gave it up and slept directly with him.
They sure did.
And then he was like, well, because my exploit and vacation went so well, I told my friend about it, and he saved up money. We're going to take another trip, and we're going to hit up all the other countries and sleep with all these other African women. So it's a little bit confusing to me on how it is that black men, in a sense, get looked at in a negative type of light by a supposed African woman. When in reality, it's European men that are searching, seeking, and sleeping with African women on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Every single time they take trips and vacations. They're not taking trips and vacations in their own countries. They're going directly to Africa. But it is what it is. So number 4, she said that black women were coming over there to invest or buy property. And again, I thought that was good for the economy. And I thought that last time I checked that African people, in a sense, wanted black people to come over and to invest because y'all wanted our money because of how much it is worth, right? It makes it easier for your economy. You can pull in, more money, multiply that, and do whatever it is that you want to do. You guys are happy with the money, and we're happy because we have some land. But obviously not because you're like, oh, you guys want to change things and yada, yada, yada. The funniest thing about that is that Europe has been changing your continent. Right, your whole area.
It sure is.
For the longest time possible. But yet you haven't done or said
anything. And Chinese too.
They've taken, they've stolen, they've rewritten, they've destroyed, they've colonized, they've recolonized, and are colonizing again. And yet, you don't say anything.
Nope.
You don't do anything.
Nope.
A lot of your governments are still taking on the aesthetics of European governments. You guys are wearing white wigs. Robes. Like that's crazy to me because that's not you. That's Europe, right? Especially the white wigs. Really curly white wigs. On African skin. Who thought of that? because I know it wasn't Africans that thought of that. I know it wasn't you guys, because that's not even a part of your aesthetic naturally. But yet, even with the changes that happen, even with Russia coming directly over, even with China coming directly over, even with the United States coming directly over, you don't say anything.
Nope.
But the moment in time that you have some black Americans, the few that happen to come over, and they want to invest and they want to buy some land and build homes, you want to sit up there and say that it's a problem. That's crazy. That makes me think that you just have a problem with black Americans doing stuff. You don't have a problem with anybody else coming over doing anything to your people, treating them a certain type of way, putting them in any type of slavery, using them for whatever means that they want to use it. Matter of fact, since we're talking about people being used, how about the fact that there's still a type of slavery? Not even a type. There's still slavery going on in Africa, and it's by way of the people that look just like you. Same skin tone, same skin complexion, and everything.
Same language.
What happened? Why not focus and try to make that situation right? Wasn't it not too long ago that King Leopold of Belgium II came over to one area such as the Congo, and he slew anywhere in between 5 to 15 million of the Congolese? And then on top of that, when we look at the history of Europe and the fact that when we look at their museums, there's a lot of artifacts that came directly from African nations, African areas, but yet they still have those there as if it belongs to them. Better yet, how about the fact that you have the Dutch and many others in South Africa? That's not where they were naturally from. I did a video before and I saw the fact that they came over and they had bulldozers. They gave the people there two options. Either they can pack up and move, or they were going to make them move. And the Europeans there made them move. But yet, even with that change, even with how it is that the gentrification, or how it is that the colonization took place, said nothing, did nothing, do nothing. But the moment in time that black people happen to show up, it's a problem. I'm noticing a theme.
Here comes a new challenger.
When black Americans responded to being labeled as colonizers along with the rest of Americans, I sat back and I waited. I wanted anything that may have been miscommunicated or misconstrued to be cleared up, to be elaborated on. And since that video, you stated that you don't understand the disconnect, and that's exactly the point. There's a disconnect because African Americans share a lived experience here that is complex and unique in of itself. This system is quite literally reliant on our oppression to function. So when others speak on it and blame us for the oppression that we are in, as well as you, it's very triggering. Not because of something we don't want to hear or admit, but because the circumstances that we have been forced under are always blamed on us. And then we are called to fix problems that we did not create. Those on the outside regularly ignore historical context and how that plays a role in human behavior. You mentioned that we make up 13% of the population, but 30% of military personnel. Did you ask why? Did it occur that this could be because of limited or denied opportunities? The choice made out of duress to escape living conditions that our government forced many of my people in? Or could it be a result of an oppressive system that preys on young and vulnerable black children? You did what they do to us all the time. You threw a statistic that is a reflection of our oppression in our face without understanding why, and then blamed us for it. People often simplify our trauma and obstacles to the point that the solution is made to sound easy. That way, if we object or present valid concerns, you can just paint us as being lazy or selfish. Just pull yourself up from the bootstraps. Just get a job. Just start a revolution. It's never a question. It's always expected of us to be at the forefront and risk the rights that we just got. We are only 2 generations removed from Jim Crow. 2 generations. And we are being shamed for wanting to avoid a Jim Crow America where extremists run free, go unpunished, where there is widespread legalized discrimination again, only this time under a possible dictator. I am still failing to understand how that version of America will be of any use to anyone.
I would just like to say that that black woman there, you can tell that she is educated. She summed it up beautifully. And obviously there was another response that the African woman made that I did not see. I don't even care to see it at this moment in time because I'm pretty sure that it's going to be ignorant and just as stupid as everything that she stated in the very first video that I showcased to you guys already. And the other thing that should be added is the fact that immigrants can come directly over, including Africans, and they can receive a major helping hand and or a handout in order to get above or ahead of Black Americans.
Right.
I've heard a lot of Africans say that they pretty much came over here and they saw the opportunities and that Black Americans are so lazy and they got everything from the ground up, when realistically you didn't. Realistically, the government, as what everybody can see clearly at this moment in time, will do everything in order to help out migrants. It doesn't matter where they come from. As long as they're not Black American, they're going to give you subsidies. They're going to give you even more money if you have kids. You'll get money even if you are single, if you're planning on getting married, if you plan on getting a brand new house. They will give you money for apartments and brand new businesses. It's easier for them to also get loans.
Right.
So again, when you have a lot of people like this speaking, it makes no type of sense. And it always seems like there's some type of competition, rivalry, jealousy, or some type of envy. Because again, like I've showcased before, a lot of times when Africans come over, they are some of the main ones who don't speak on a lot of the things that Black Americans have to go through. So if we have to go through any type of traumatic experiences, like seeing some of our own get erased, when we're getting brutalized, when we're getting arrested, when we're getting treated wrongly, a lot of these migrants tend to keep their heads low and not say anything. But then the exact same migrants who don't want to speak on the Black experience or what it is that we go through, but yet they seem to profit. They're able to survive, thrive, and live. They're able to mix in. They're the same ones that once they get their business, they get everything going, they get their money and they get their education. They're the main ones that want to decide that now they want to speak. Now they want to speak against us. Now they want to say that, maybe if you guys talk differently, if you guys get educated, if you guys dress differently, maybe if you guys actually respected authority, if you guys respected America, if you guys respected the police, maybe if you guys actually did what it is that you needed to do instead of being lazy and got it right, they want to start doing that type of stuff. And people wonder why it is that Black Americans have an issue with Africans and others when it is that they decide to speak on us, about us, on our situations, and when it is that they happen to show up in America. Because if it was not for us, you would not even be over here. You wouldn't, nobody would really know you. To put it for a better word. Again, there's a lot of other things here, but I feel again that the Black woman spoke wonderfully on the topic. She, gave a little bit more in depth when it dealt with this. Again, this is a conversation that can go on for a very long time, and even with the plethora of information that we have at anybody's fingertips, you're still going to have people like this deciding that they want to speak negatively about Black Americans and how it is that we don't do this and how it is that we do that and yada yada yada. Like I said, this is why we have back and forths online, because of people like this. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video.
Now I'm about to chime on in on this topic before I go to the next video. And and I know not all Africans, because there's some that get it, but the ones that don't seem to get it, you don't understand. You are in a country that still has sundown towns. It's almost like you wouldn't go to certain parts of South Africa where it's predominantly white. I don't care if you were good and you kept your head down. It's the point about they don't like your presence. And I don't know, I think some of them come from different parts of Africa because they just, you have this, you have this naive mentality that if I do well, the white men won't get us right. you don't understand. Like the only ones I think would understand is Brazilians and South African, black Afro-Brazilian, because you guys you don't get it. Even if you get to a certain level, if your son come to this country like in Europe, because what now you getting blowback in Europe right now, and from what I seen on this one young woman, there's some of you that come from different parts of Africa. You're leaving Europe. They're trying to get up out of Europe. They attack your car. So who's really colonizing? But yet, who's doing this? And I can show you personally a story where they just now sentenced these 3 teenagers, and they were in a well-to-do neighborhood because it was a nice this African family they would come. I believe it was from the Congo. And guess what? Because they was in a safe neighborhood, somebody torched their house. 2 white teenagers and an Asian American torched their house in a suburb in Colorado. But we the colonizers, right? We the colonizer. And there's other stories. What about the young man that was up in Michigan because he jumped out of the car and tried to talk to the cop, and the cop made him get back in the car. He started fidgeting. His parents came from the continent, and he was so I guess they had him over here. But I guess they would go back and forth, and I guess how the way they handle stuff and the way in the country, they go out and try to negotiate with the cop. But you forget you was in America, and so the cop got out. They got to a tussle, and the guy got a bullet in his head, and he's gone. So this is what and he wasn't doing anything. And I mean he wasn't a criminal. He wasn't selling drugs. But he kept his head down and everything. But you don't understand it. And some of you so naive because maybe you think you probably get tribal, be like, well, that's just those Ugandans or Ethiopians. No, in America, you all look the same. It don't matter if you Somalian, Eritrean, or from Ivory Coast, whatever. You're black, okay? That's the way it is. I mean, they know, and you're gonna get the same. And if you come across this America, you're gonna experience it in some form or fashion. Like, and even if you do act so submissive and everything, you just don't understand. You're in a land of racism, and we try to tell you about what our oppression, and you think it's a joke. And so now it's happened. Did a couple stories in the past. It has happened to some immigrants. It has happened to some immigrants. Some Ethiopian girls out in Seattle that was with a American family. Guess what? They treat them like slaves. But because they was part of a Christian organization, and it was a white guy that covered it. So the Ethiopian community, the Ethiopian girls were astonished. We try to tell you this stuff, but do you hear any black American doing something like that? Have we set fires coming through and call out mocktails through your house? I mean, if you come here in America, you think a black American gonna do that to you? But we the colonizer though. We the colonizer, right? You don't hear now. Do sometimes we clash and because of maybe the name, sometimes accents, sometimes personal body thing. That's the only thing, and some stereotype. But normally, and this has been a couple incidents, but really that it does between us and that. But y'all go, it's like some of us go way out there in certain areas because you were raised that think that and the people like the Europeans, like European looking people over here, you worship them. And you worship them, and some of you do, because I heard the stories how they come to the continent. You practically come to worship, and since you got some people that carry that spirit over here, that's come from the continent, and they'll come looking down on us, whatever. And you don't think we picked that up? Oh, we picked that up. Oh, we pick it up real doggone well. But, it's just that, and like I said, this don't apply to everybody. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what's going on.
Type 2 diabetes, discover the Ozempic Trizone.
So, this is in England.
I got the power of 3.
Apparently, Africans are leaving European countries in droves. There are videos that are going viral of Africans standing in line at an airport in the UK or Ireland. They're just trying to get away from the situation, and we all know what is going on in the UK at the moment with the far right racist riots, and Ireland, how they are also protesting. Australia, literally our people are going through it. Black and brown people are going through it because of this recent, I actually don't want to say recent, it's just open now. That's why we're here to talk about it. It's in the open. They're actually going and destroying their businesses. They are threatening them online. They feel so bold to talk about it. Maybe before they have been a little bit more tamed. They don't want to show their true colors. That's the difference. I don't want to say this happened all of a
Even
sudden.
people you worship.
We always talk about the microaggression and the racism, the discrimination, the system being built to help and support white people, right? That's a conversation we've been having. So yeah, we're not new to the news, but honestly, seeing our people coming out like this, coming back and getting tired of the treatment and everything that they're going through is something that I think us Africans need to start realizing. There's no place like home. I know someone's gonna come and comment, it's hard at home, our politicians, our leaders, the unemployment, the poverty. I completely understand. We understand each other. At least a lot of us have the same lived experience, so we know what is going on. But at the end of the day, fam, we have to choose our battles. We have to pick which one we're willing to go to war for. And in my opinion, building our own continent at this moment, it might be a bigger sacrifice, but for the next generation, it's a sacrifice that is worth it. So if these people, even if it's not all of them that are coming back that will stay in the continent, even if it's just 30% of them or 20% of them, let's work with that. Let's see what you can bring now to your country. What exactly are you bringing in? Is it money? Is it your skills? Is it, some of these technological advances that you are able to achieve or learn when you are out there? Because at the end of the day, in Africa, a lot of our schools teach us theory, but did we really learn the technical of things, how things work, how to make them? Unfortunately, in many cases, that's a no. And we have to be honest with ourselves. So some of our diasporas have been exposed to many things that maybe the locals have not been exposed to, the people that have never left their countries. So what are you bringing in? Let's work together. Let's develop our countries. And then, because of that, you can fix your continent. That's how it works, So one step at a time. I'm glad they're back, but I'm also sad for them that maybe a lot of them are leaving their houses, their cars, their belongings, because they're just desperate. They're just in a panic mode. That's why they're leaving. But at the same time, you have to weigh the lesser evil. We've seen a brother, how he was caring for an elderly in the UK, and when he's done with his long hour shift, he came back to find his car destroyed by the same people that we're talking about.
A carer in Middlesbrough finished a 12-hour shift only to come home and find that far-right thugs had burnt his car during the riots. Brendan had been working in 2 care homes looking after the elderly all day. He told the BBC,
I couldn't even recognize it. I went to the bathroom, I cried because I know how much it took me to be able to save this money and be able to get this. What am I even doing here? That was the question I asked them. What am I even doing here? I'm here taking care of somebody. I'm here taking care of people, making sure they are okay. They are elderly.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to try and help Brendan get a new car, and it's already raised over £20,000 in less than 24 hours.
And last week I covered the stories coming out of the UK, how our brothers and sisters are scared for their lives. They don't want to leave their house because of everything that is going on. So, everything considered, I think this is a bittersweet situation.
So, I'm sure many of you guys have already heard about this story because the story is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, okay? You have these 3 teens who are going to prison. Hopefully for the rest of their life, but unfortunately, that's not how it's turning out to be. And the reason why they're going to prison is over an iPhone. Now, we have the model citizen, we have the Asian kid who is suggested by law enforcement to be the ringleader of the 3, and then you have these 2 little white kids. And one of them has already been sentenced. They're doing time for 40 years. You have another one who was 14 at the time, who's doing 7 years. I think that's crazy, okay? And then you have the ringleader, the little Asian kid, who is looking at a possible 60 years in prison. Now, I would say all of those sentencing, that is light work, okay? Light work. Because what happened is the little Asian kid got his phone stolen, and he used Find My iPhone to come across this house. Now, turns out that the house that he came across was not the house, the person in there was not the person who stole their phone. So I don't know how he came to this house. I don't know how accurate Find My iPhone is, but that's what happened. Now, it would have been okay if he just left it there, but he took it a step beyond, right? Instead of calling law enforcement, instead of calling the police that they constantly want to tell us to do, hey, just call the police, okay? Don't worry about dealing with it on your own. Just call the police, okay? Hey, let the system handle it. Go through the judicial system, okay, like good citizens. Well, the model citizen, you want to know what they did? Well, they did some arson. That's correct. They set the house ablaze. 3 of them. All 3 of these little demons, that's what they did. And the problem is that there was a family inside. There was over 6 people in that house who perished. Listen to me, including 2 babies, bruh. 2 babies. I want you to understand how evil, how wicked you have to be to do something like that. Over a phone. This reminds me of when they were talking about, hey, why do we deal with people who hate us? These are people who hate us. Remember when Charlie Kirk was talking like that? And I'm thinking to myself, think about all that has happened to Black Americans in this country. And never have you seen any type of vitriol, hatred on a wide scale level, ever in this country. There's never been any retribution. There's never been any point of revenge. Think about that. That's what they constantly fear. Oh, Black people, once they get, they're more of the population, the demographics change, they're going to get revenge. We have never shown any sign of revenge in this country. Now, I have my thoughts on that. But, there are some who see that as good, and there's some who see that as bad. I see that as very much a conditioning of post-traumatic slave syndrome, okay? Of how they condition us as a group to just accept it. Because if something happens wrong with the white liberal, they go out and hey, we got to get this happening. We got to do outreach. We got to create a bill.
I just want to show a little bit of video.
Shalom, friend. I am Dr. Eli Lizorkin Heisenberg, head of school at Israel Bible Center.
So she mentioned about the pastor roles, right?
Hebrew. This woman asked God to give her a white husband, but years later she regretted it.
But because we cannot live under the same roof because of your insult, he is very insultive. Calling me a prostitute, I took you from a man. That's what he tells people. He has a channel also. You go to his channel, you will see. If you understand the captions, he will call me prostitute, a thief, everything. There's nothing I've not been caught.
Ever since I've been online, I've heard the sentiments from black women towards black men. At least some of them. And that sentiment and concern is that, listen, dealing with black men just isn't good enough for them. They would like to go out there and be treated differently and be loved romantically by a group of men who actually gets it. You know, because black men or African men just don't get it. And once they get these men, hey, things are going to work out. They will get mixed children. They will live a life of happiness, and everything will run its course. Unfortunately, it doesn't always end up like that, because there's a lady right now trending in Kenya by the name of Betty, and she's a single mother to two beautiful mixed kids. And actually, her YouTube channel is called Betty's Stories from Kenya. She was a lady that prayed for a white man. And if you don't believe me, here's a clip.
This woman asked God to give her a white husband, but years later she regretted it.
I was so tired of everything. I said, God, please give me a white boyfriend who will take care of me, who will give me a family, what I need.
God answered her request after only 30 minutes.
Within that minute, God answered my prayer.
That's right. She prayed for a white man to come. And when he did, he came. But rewind! What was the reason that she prayed for a white man? Well, because she kept getting her heart broken by black men. Let's check it out.
But I came to a point that I started getting very tired of our guys here in Kenya. Let me tell you, because of being heartbroken, I had when I left school, usually I had that's my first boyfriend, you know, the teenage boyfriend that who made me leave school. And when I went there, I met this guy I was so much in love with. And now I got this guy that I had miscarried his pregnancy, and he was there like with every woman he was meeting. But I wanted to make a family. You know, I was like, no, this is not enough. I'm fed up with this African Kenyan man. I was like, no, this is not what I want. I don't want, I need somebody who is serious, you know, for a relationship. I was 22 years now, and I am ready for a serious relationship. That's crazy.
So after getting her heart broken from black men, she decided to go and date white men. Well, in this case, Russian men. Stop and show you, my bad. Dima, you ain't your Russian? Ha! Exactly. A Russian man, not Dima, I don't think. So, what does happen to? After she gets with this Russian guy, before she was with his friend, stop the show. Yeah, she kicked it with the other friend for like 3 days. So then this guy decided that he wanted to clap those cheeks, and that dude was staying with her, and she was like, no, listen, I'm not a prostitute. Even though she stayed with the other dude for like 3 days, let him another Russian guy. So she ended up with his friend, which is going to become her husband. Fast forward, Debo. So they end up moving to Russia. The guy's a doctor. She lived in Moscow. They have everything that they want. They have money, a nice house, all of that. She's there for 3.5 years. They have their first child there, and everything is good. But stop the show. She was like, African music, you know, I miss Kenya. I want to go back to Kenya. I don't want to stay in Russia. I'm bored. Nobody here to talk to. I get to go home every year for 2 weeks, and I'm going back to Kenya. So, you know, this is the white man that has rescued her, taken her from Kenya into a life of luxury, but she wants to go back home to the village. So the guy was like, look, no, you need to stay here with me, and everything will work out. Nope, she wanted to go back to the village. So they fought, and the guy said, listen, I'm not going to let you go by yourself. We're going to sell everything in Russia and move there. Stop the show. Men, if you ever make this stupid ass mistake, like a woman wants you to go into her world, you have a world that you understand that you're doing very well in. You're going to sell off all of your stuff to move to an African village with her, where she doesn't have really anything but her family and doesn't really have anything but that. You know what? As much as you love her, let her go, okay? Because it's your infrastructure that has gotten it so far. I've seen so many guys do this, and then they end up losing their way, like this guy's about to. So, fast forward. They sell everything, they go there, and everything like that. Then, they started some businesses. Business, of course, was doing okay at first, until they weren't. Sad music! So people started stealing from their businesses, started stealing from their farms and all of that. So then the guy starts drinking like this.
I said, what am I gonna do if he gets worse and I'm in somebody's country? And this the person, I'm supposed to be to look after me and all that. But here he's this anchor that is so much. My husband, he's a very big drinker. He's an alcoholic. If I may say it, a good drinker.
So, as you can see, he's losing a bit of himself, right? Basically, the guy is becoming a drunkard because he's no longer doing what he loves to do in Russia. He's no longer being himself, and he's now on her time, living in her country, getting scammed, everything like that. It's just become a complete, total disaster. Fast forward!
Make this a summer to share in one of our...
Now, was that a passport, bro? No. But yet, black men get blamed for it. But he ended up using her and leaving her. Now, so there you have it. And the only reason why that's the only way out. But yet, when we come over to the country, and like what the one brother was saying, we ain't coming over to really manipulate or gentrify like the Chinese do when black Americans go over to Africa. You might have some that you probably got some that kind of throw a little hissy fit, but they ain't used to it. But most of the time, but for what you see, they worship them. So they get these men from different parts of the world, and they don't get time to know the character. And he was not lucky, but it was other. He made a story about another Caucasian gentleman went over there. I don't know. I think I don't know if he gave him HIV or something, but he was just taking the whole village. But yet black. Do you hear anybody black men go over there passing HIV to Kenyan or Uganda women? No. Nigerian women? No. Ghanaian women? No. But yet she had to never say that. But she ain't say, well, I don't see her making a video about that. And then that's not including the Chinese. Chinese was going over certain villages and dropping off they planting their seed, leaving, have Asian and African children over there. But you're gonna get on the black Americans, and hardly barely some of the ones that do. Ain't that many going over there. And they do, they probably already married to somebody. And just like the brother said, we already know that you already in some of the different people, a place like that, particularly in certain wealthier Africans, that you don't fool with black Americans. We know about that story, but yet you want to get with the people that you put like on angelic form, and that's just basically you don't get to see their character, but you see what they color. When it comes to black American, they like the devil. And it's the ones who think. I'm talking to the Africans that think like this. But yeah, now you see. But then you got all the smoke when you come over here. Now you getting run. But did we do that? You hear any black Americans doing that to you? You got all this smoke for us, but are we setting us on fire, killing, deleting people? Nope. But yet you got the smoke for us. Yet some of them come over and insult us. That's crazy, man. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this is an interesting video, but you need to know the whole truth. And we ain't your problem to the ones that do. And tell the ones that ain't like that, God bless you. The ones that don't think like that, but you need to tell when they go talking that around you, you show them the facts. Because we ain't your problem. And you go throughout this America and you think that we're so we're like the demons and they like the angels, you're gonna find out. Not everybody is a demon and an angel. You're gonna find out. Well, I'm like them black Americans. I'm Nigerian. I'm Senegalese. They don't give a darn. You in America with a black person with a foreign language. You're gonna see it coming. Watch. So that's all I gotta say about that. And you're gonna see. You'll see. All right then. Take care, guys. See you on next video.